Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Devil May Cry 5, where we are rejoining V on his quest to find Dante's lost sword. But first, we're flashing back, because we need to see what happened at the beginning. And in typical Dante fashion, his power's out because he hasn't paid his bills.
Right, so how did he get out of the demon world then?
How did he get out of the demon world? He fought his way out. It's a Devil May Cry game. I kind of wish we could play as this clean, shaven version of Dante, rather than the I've been in a coma for a month, so my hair has grown out, and I've got, like, Santa Claus hair.
I don't necessarily disagree. I like the longer hair Dante we get for this game.
I like him, but there's no option to switch back, is the thing. Like, you can't, like, change costumes once you've finished the missions.
Yeah.
There's no, like, extra costumes in these games that you can
There are, but they're palette swaps, basically. You don't even get the Sparda and his fancy coat and monocle costume in this one, unfortunately.
Gas and power coming out of your cut. You're a real agency.
I like how Morrison is used to this stuff, so he already went ahead and paid Dante's electric bill for him. So, Dante having no money is a running joke from the anime, actually. He was constantly behind on his bills in that game. And to make matters worse, occasionally, Lady and Trish would prank him by charging their clothing bill at the department store to Dante's accounts. So he would get pestered by the shopkeeper.
Well, I was gonna say, I think the girl that calls Dante right there, I think is Morrison's daughter. Was that what it was?
Oh no, that's Patty. She's an orphan that Dante got contracted to bodyguard in the first episode, and who ended up sticking around for the rest of the series after that. So,
yeah. Okay. So she is an anime character.
Yes. She actually lived at the Devil May Cry office for most of the series until her real mother showed up in the final story. So, yeah. It's a fun reference, but it also, like, puts a hard time frame on how much time has passed, because she was a little girl in that show, and she's celebrating her 18th birthday now. I like how Dante just does not give a shit either. Like, he's not actually, like, he actually begs Morrison to get him out of the birthday party.
Special. Okay. So what's so special about
I do like these scenes from 4 and 5 that happen in the Devil May Cry office, because they kind of give a stronger impression of Dante as a demon hunter, as a devil hunter, in terms of a business, you know, which was one of the things that
you saw too, right, Ted?
Yeah, no, it just kind of, but it also just kind of looks like he's puckering up to kiss somebody. It's like, whoa, dude, buy him a drink. Buy him a drink first, jeez.
I like the idea of Devil May Cry as a devil hunting business, though, and it's not something that the games really do anything with. It's just sort of a background element of Dante's character. You don't really get to see it in action outside of the anime.
Well, that makes sense in that, you know, like, the games are supposed to be, if the games are about Dante or Nero or whatever, like, personally, then it's going to be different than what effectively is just their day job, which is going up and beating demons normally. So,
I mean, it would make plenty of sense to structure a game around a bunch of missions that you take from the office. It's just that they never actually did that outside of the anime, weirdly. It's like you go to one place and you're on one mission in that one place for the entire game, you know? I feel like they could do at least one game that takes place in multiple locations. I mean, it's not an unheard of structure for an action game. That's basically what the classic Tomb Raider games did. It was actually considered a bit weird when Tomb Raider 4 happened and everything was in Egypt.
It's coming from the qliphoth's root.
Wait,
okay.
dude, if you can just run, then why do you need the cane?
Well, he's not actually all that fit.
What
you know?
the hell is he doing?
He's
Surfing on a shadow, buddy.
He's surfing on Shadow, yeah.
Okay, all right. So, like, you're a summoner, basically, for this. Like, you...
Yeah. You know the Raido Kuzunoha games? It's basically that.
Dude, they're remastering those so I can finally play it. I'm excited. Or they're remastering one of them, at the very least. I'm excited to give that a shot.
Well, if they're remastering the first game, we'll probably get a remaster of Raido 2 as well.
I hope so. Because that's the one that's really expensive, from what I remember.
Well, I think both games were released on PlayStation 3, so it's not like they're impossible to get. But
Unfortunately, my PS3 does not read discs anymore, so I can't...
No, it's on the PSN.
no, it's a digital release. Unless
Can you
have
still download stuff on PS3?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to load currency up via the website and then buy it on the PS3, but you can still shop on the PlayStation Store, at least in America.
Okay, that surprises me, honestly, but sure.
It works fairly well.
Is this guy supposed to look like Kylo Ren, or am I just reading?
Everybody made that joke when this game was revealed.
Okay.
Yes,
He looks like Adam Driver.
He does. He's a lot cooler than Kylo Ren, though, I'm going to say.
Well, Kylo Ren was purposefully not supposed to be cool. That was, like, part of why... Like, part of the point of the character is that...
Yeah.
Like, he's not Darth Vader.
He's an unstable pre-Vader Anakin Skywalker. Although...
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
I do kind of resent that we didn't get to see the story direction that they were originally planning to go with for the third movie, where the ending of where the end point of the story was actually no, Kylo Ren doesn't get redeemed. He actually becomes a full-time villain, and his character arc.
That was part of what was interesting about Episode 8 was that, like, oh, we're not just going to do episodes 4, 5, and 6 again. We have, like, a plan. And then, oh no, Episode 9 decided to be the worst thing that's happened to Star Wars. God, I could go on for a long time about how much I hate Rise of Skywalker, but I will not do that.
Like even now, it's like okay, we did a whole discussion video on Rise of Skywalker. Like,
no, we did discussion videos on the first two.
Did we not do a Rise of Skywalker?
I don't think we did. I mean, granted,
that is fucking insane.
Let me actually double check.
Because because here's the thing. I know that Episode 8 is divisive, but at least it was divisive and it had a plan. Episode 9, I don't think they had any.
It's course correction, the movie.
Yeah, but they didn't course correct. They were like...
It starts like the traditional 20th century Fox drums, but instead of like Star Wars, it just says course correction before the title crawl.
But it's not. They're not even correcting the course. They're going further off the rails. Nobody liked what they did. It's just like you need to appease at least one side to course correct.
we did in fact do a Rise of Skywalker discussion. It's an hour.
Okay, I knew we did.
It's an hour and 46 minutes long.
Wow, shorter than I would have thought.
Probably.
No, I remember this because I think half of that discussion was Lewis bringing up a lore book that filled in the pieces of what they decided to do what they did for the movie.
Somehow, the discussion has returned.
Well,
something Fortnite.
I think what I might have brought up was that the novelizations do tend to have details that weren't explicit in the films, which is not the best look, but the details are there. There's information to be found about Starkiller Base, but you only really find out about it in the novel.
Do you want to know what the sad thing is? Rise of Skywalker was the last movie I saw before the pandemic. So I think I went 3 years without going to the movie theaters, and then the next movie I saw I think was the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Damn, my last
it's
movie
just
was
like-
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh yeah, people actually liked that. I keep forgetting that people actually liked the first Sonic movie, because in my mind, it's, for some reason, I don't know why, in my mind it still has the terrible first Sonic design.
No.
Yeah.
Did you watch the third one?
I haven't watched any Sonic movies.
Really?
Yeah, I don't care.
Okay. I mean, granted, like, for sure, but I think
do like Shadow. Shadow's neat.
I think you would like the third movie.
Yeah, I mean, I probably would, but then I'd have to stop being a stubborn prick, and I don't know if I can do that. That's not hard. I also just, unfortunately, have very, like, it's frustrating. I like going to the movies. I enjoy going to the movie theater. Like, I like the movie theater popcorn is not good popcorn, but it's my favorite kind of popcorn because of its specific, like, and then, like, just being in the movie. I have a lot of fond memories of of going to the movie theater. It's just, it's like $40 if you want to get a ticket and snacks and, like, the whole experience. It's like, I can't afford that, man. It's too
That's
much.
why you go to the gas station and get candy before the movie.
No, but you don't. Oh, okay, candy, sure, that's fine. But, like, you need to have the big old, like, getting the big old movie theater soda that becomes watery halfway through the movie, and the bad movie theater popcorn that's actually good. Like, that's part of the experience for me. Like, that's necessary. But candy, yeah, no, I won't buy candy at the movie theater. That's, like, they don't even ever have good ones. They have, like, M&Ms and, like, does anybody ever actually eat the, what's the name of it? Like, the ones that are, like, chocolate, but they have the little mint things on top of it.
Junior Mints?
Junior Mints, yeah. Do people actually like that
Yeah,
stuff?
I love
Does
Junior
any-
Mints.
Okay. Will you ever eat Junior Mints outside of the movie theater?
I don't see Junior Mints outside the movie theater.
My point exactly.
Wait, was that your point? Because I thought the point was the way people actually eat it.
My point is whatever will make me appear to be right in that specific moment.
Oh, okay. So typical Redditor.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Is the fact that his hair becomes white while you're fighting with the demons at a specific point also supposed to be a not so subtle hint that this is Virgil?
Yeah, kind of. Although
Okay.
it's also sort of a nod to DMC Devil May Cry, where when Dante went Devil Trigger, his hair went white.
Oh, okay. Did they ever add a Virgil mode to that game?
Yes, they did.
Oh no.
It was that era of PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, where it was in vogue to do these really cheap DLC epilogue chapters with still frame cutscenes and shit. So it was like Castlevania Lords of Shadow all over again, except you got to
That's
play
just
as a
getting
different
into like
character.
the presentation of the fucking DLC. Like Virgil also just sucked.
Like, it wasn't fun to play?
He was now. It's terrible.
What about it, like, made him bad?
He wasn't DMC4, DMC3 Virgil. I think
Okay.
that's
So
okay.
that's fair, but, like, Dante also wasn't DMC 3-4 Dante.
Yeah, but Dante was still fun to play.
No, Dante wasn't DMC 3-4 Dante. Dante was Nero.
Yes. Yeah, you're right.
So at least
Nero with better platforming.
Yeah. Okay. So this area, this series of missions leads into an interesting set piece. You get to visit Dante's house. His childhood home, which I guess survived being attacked by demons because it's still here and stuff.
Like the foundation's still relatively intact. That's impressive.
So is the
Are
rest
we
of the
still
house.
considered to be in the demon world at this point? Or are we
No,
No.
we're in the human world.
It's just like the idea of visiting Dante's house to learn about the backstory and stuff. That was a DMC thing. That was like that happened very early on in that game. So I guess you could chalk that up as another idea that they cribbed from the reboot.
Yeah, because I think for what it's worth, I don't remember who the director of DMC was, starting with 2 and beyond.
I thought it was Kamiya.
No,
Cameo was only involved in the first game.
Oh, really?
the name is like on the tip of my tongue, but it's getting blurred together with
Same.
a bunch of Final Fantasy developers because I've been playing Final Fantasy games lately.
Yeah, because I originally wanted to say Hiroyuki Ito, and it's like, that's not right. But regardless, my point is, he enjoyed the reboot. Like, he thought it was a perfectly fine game. And when they made this game, they thought it was no problem to pay respects to it, like pay a couple mods to it.
I know that, I feel like, and this is me, I don't have a finger on the Devil May Cry fan base that much, but I feel like the vitriol to the DMC reboot has gone down in more recent years. I guess especially since we have a DMC 5 for real, people are more willing to look at it as its own thing.
Yeah, like
Two things for that. One, DMC 5, and two, because DMC got a special definitive edition, which is remarkably great. Like,
yeah,
it fixes a lot of problems of the original game.
Yeah, there is that. Although it's still console exclusive, which is weird.
Yes, I believe so.
But like, yeah, like one, yeah, we do have a better version of the game that fixes a lot of the issues, but also it's also we don't have to worry about that being the direction the series is definitively going anymore. It's like going back to Resident Evil 6 in the year 2025, you know? You can just laugh at how stupid the fucking game is. You don't have to approach the game from a lens of, okay, I do not want the next game to be like this. You can just enjoy the stupid fun and rest assured that the next Resident Evil will be a nice blend of action and horror, as it should be.
Yeah, that's one of the things about, you know, games like these where, especially because DMC is not the kind of franchise that you get a lot of games for very...
This was me looking at the fucking guide because I could not find my way to that fucking blue
What are his
orb.
bookmarks? What are his bookmarks?
It's a dangerous game showing your actual Google search history on the...
Yeah, I know. That was... You would never catch me doing that.
Did I search dog dicks?
Why did I do that?
Sorry, I just need to Google dog dicks real quick.
You guys do realize that if there was anything, like, weird on the screen, I could just edit it out, right?
I know. That's...
But would you?
Well, yeah, because I'm paying closer attention to what I edit while I'm editing the commentary than I am when I'm just cutting the parts apart. That was left in.
You say that, but you left in like 10 failed attempts with the floor is lava.
Yeah, so that's so that he could give me time to pull up the board the platform.
Look, I wasn't individually counting the attempts when I was scrubbing the footage for that part, okay? I could not find my way to that blue orb. It just was not in the cards. But you know... What?
I'd be lying if I said
Oh.
So this is a question that I had. Had they established in earlier games, like, how old Dante and Virgil were when they fell out?
Okay, so this is a bit complicated. Okay, so they got separated when they were kids, right? Then there was a manga series between that and Devil May Cry 3 that released as a sort of prequel when 3 came out. It was supposed to have 3 volumes, but they discontinued it after volume 2, which awkwardly left that story without a conclusion. But it involved, of all things, a Wonderland theme with a demon rabbit and everything.
Like Alice in Wonderland?
Like Alice in Wonderland, and a girl who made a deal with a demon to become older and more attractive, you know. The story was never finished, though.
Wait, is that a thing in the Wonderland books where Alice makes a deal with a demon? To become older?
No, it's not.
Okay.
But, like, I have no idea where they were going with that story, though, because, like I say, the 3rd volume never happened. There was a Dante volume, and there was a Virgil volume, and there was supposed to be a 3rd volume featuring Lady on the cover that would have tied it all together and led into Devil May Cry 3. But the story, again, as I say, was never finished. So they might have intended to establish a time frame for all of that, but they never did, unfortunately. Man, I love those finishing moves when you can just pull them off like that.
He does look pretty fun to play. Like, when you're controlling stuff and doing, like, the spinny move with the tiger, does it feel like you're controlling the tiger, or that you're controlling...
It's a bit weird, okay? Your gun button corresponds to moves that Griffin does. Your melee button corresponds to moves that Shadow does, and then you're controlling V with in terms of movement and dodging. Another one. I thought maybe if I summoned Nightmare here, it would break down the wall. But, no. One of the annoying things about summoning Nightmare and then dismissing it like that, though, is that there's more of a delay with V than there is with Nero and Dante before... Nope, that didn't work. Wait, what happened? Where's Nightmare? Where did Nightmare go? Nightmare!
Nightmare's on his 5-minute union break.
Okay, what was I saying?
That, like, there's a delay between doing stuff.
Yes, okay, so when you summon Nightmare, there's a delay before you can dismiss him that does not exist when you're using the other character's Devil Triggers. With the other characters, you can kind of pop in and out of Devil Trigger if you really need to. There are very few reasons why you would. And you'll always lose a chunk of your Devil Trigger meter when you do that, so it's not like you can abuse it. But with V, you have to use Nightmare to break open certain walls, right? You have to use Nightmare to break open certain walls so that you can get the secrets in his missions. Unfortunately, to do this, you have to either know where the walls are or see a place you think might be breakable and summon Nightmare there. But if you're just summoning Nightmare to test out a specific spot, you have to wait several moments before the game will let you dismiss him. It's kind of...
And you can only do that a certain amount of times, right?
Yeah, you only have...
It's a cooldown, I believe.
Yeah, it's just you're running down your Devil Trigger meter while you wait for that. So, you know, you can only test so many areas before you have to find an enemy to fight for more Devil Trigger. So it creates a situation where you really don't want to use Nightmare in combat while you're specifically exploring missions for secrets, you know? I should probably summon Nightmare here, though, because Griffin's been knocked out and could use a revive. Oh yeah.
So if your other guys have health bars of their own.
Summon.
Oh, is that the? Oh, that's the
Yeah.
ones on the left.
Summoning Nightmare also restores them to full if they're knocked out. So. If both demons get knocked out, though, you're kind of just a guy with a cane running around trying not to get hit until they come back. So, it's it can be rough. Sometimes you just want to save your Devil Trigger to use as a Phoenix down.
So when you're playing this game, obviously the main story, you have to play specific missions as specific characters.
Yes.
Can you, like, on a repeat playthrough, play any mission you want with any character you want? Or are they all still, like, you have to be V for this mission?
No, all the missions are specific to the characters. It lets them tailor the combat situations to each character's moveset, which was a problem.
That's fair.
Yeah, it was a problem in Devil May Cry 4, where you were fighting all of Nero's bosses as Dante again, and they clearly were not designed for him. But, you know, but there are certain missions where both characters are present, and you get to choose which character you want to play as. And there's one mission where you get to choose between all three, but it's just a series of combat arenas, so, you know, it's the most nondescript mission imaginable.
Yeah, and I mean, that's also fair. Like, if you want to... That's one of the risks of having a game with multiple characters, is that in order to make every character feel unique, each level feels somewhat generic, you know? Or if you want the levels to work for all the characters, then the characters can't feel that different from each other. So, I do think that making each level fit the character is definitely a perfectly valid way to go for that.
These enemies are fucking annoying, by the way. They're just so damn tanky.
What, the behemoths?
I mean, if you were gonna call them that, yeah, but it's more.
No, that's what they are. They're literally called behemoths.
Are they called behemoths? Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, so wait, do the demons live as his tattoos? Because I noticed that the tattoos go away when you summon the big dude.
I think they might.
And then they came back when his hair was dark again.
Oh, that actually might be what's happening. Oh no, because like his tattoos are still on his arm, and Shadow and Griffin are out now.
Yeah, but when the big dude was there.
Oh, Nightmare specifically. I do not know. I'll have to pay attention to that next time.
Wow, look at that. I'm the Devil May Cry lore guy now. I noticed.
Now I am the DMV.
It's got changed to the RMV here in Massachusetts, which is not nearly as funny for some reason.
Yeah, and the SUV is an entire spinoff.
It's been the MVC in New Jersey for ages and ages. Oh.
Oh, these guys look like annoying assholes.
I love fighting these guys without a shotgun. Said no one ever. I mean, that was their entire thing. You knocked their scissors out of the way and shot them in the face with a shotgun for an instant kill. That was how you fought
They're
these
just
guys.
trying to trim their hedges. Like, come on, leave them alone. I will say, I think that, like, spinny move looks pretty damn... Okay. No, this does look pretty sick, I have to say. Like, the different things that you can do with him.
The fun thing about most of Shadow's moves is that they're moves that the Shadow Demon used against you in Devil May Cry 1.
Yeah, that's kind of the fun of it. Is like now you're in control of it. Well, I say control because are you?
I mean... it is really fun to finally be able to control the most annoying demon in Devil May Cry 1. Or rather, the second most annoying demon in Devil May Cry 1.
What would you rank as the first?
We're actually going to see that one pretty soon. At the end of this part, I do believe. Because, in Devil May Cry 1, there was an enemy that appeared late in the game called the Nobody. It was this cackling, laughing mutant abomination that looked like it came from a Resident Evil game. Because it probably did. And
is that like before? Is that right before you fought like Mundus?
It was pretty close to that, yeah. They started appearing in
the dudes that explode after you kill them.
They started appearing in the second run through the castle, which makes me think of the hunters from Resident Evil 1. But yeah, they start to explode. They leave poison pools when they die, and they're really, really annoying to fight. The only enemy in Devil May Cry 1 that really gave it a run for its money was probably the Frost, because the Frosts in Devil May Cry 1 were a lot tougher to take down than the ones in 4. Like, damn, they got a downgrade in 4.
What does it mean when the lock-on becomes all, like, squiggly?
That means that the enemy is in its vulnerable state. When you're playing as V, the demons you're controlling can't finish off the enemy. Only V can do that with his cane. So you have to make the enemy vulnerable with your demons, and once they start glowing white... Ooh, what?
almost lost your posture there.
Once they start glowing white, as I said, you can swoop in for a finishing attack. One of the things about V's moveset that is a direct callback to DMC is that he can chuck his cane at things and teleport to it. That is...
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah. DMC Virgil had this thing where he would throw a summoned sword at an enemy and teleport to them, or throw a different summoned sword at an enemy and teleport them to him. And it was basically just his substitute for Dante's grappling hook. But, you know, throwing a marked weapon at a destination and then teleporting to it will never not be cool. It is criminal that the 4th Hokage only got a few episodes with a move that cool. And
yeah, if you look at him right now, all the tattoos are gone off his arm.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
That might not necessarily mean that Nightmare is the tattoo, though. It might just be that because V is tapping into his demon side, he's, you know...
But I thought he didn't have a demon side anymore.
Well, he has...
Shut up, Ted.
He has some he has to have some residual demonic power. But, you know, the truth is that the tattoos never actually get an explanation. They just sort of fade onto his body when he separates from his other half.
Yeah, because I noticed, so I don't think it's so much the tattoos disappearing. I think the tattoos glow white with his hair.
Oh, okay.
Might be.
Then dude needs to get some sun, because damn.
I mean,
he's pale as shit.
For all that this game is the game in the series with the strongest emphasis on world building and continuity, it's still not a very strong emphasis on world building and continuity. So, you know,
I mean, it's interesting playing these kinds of games, because this is definitely the kind of game that I think a lot of people will not care about the story for, and they'll just run through and beat stuff up, and like that's fine. But I feel like having some amount of story to this kind of game anyway is still nice, for one, for fans, and two, just because it does add meaning to what you're doing.
Well, you know,
which I appreciate.
You know, I wanna comment on that, because like it's a bit of a misconception to say that the Devil May Cry series is a series that doesn't care about story, or that it has bad stories. I'm not really sure.
I'm not trying to imply that. I should point out.
Yeah, I know, but it's a general misconception, and I want to say, no, this series has good stories. It doesn't have particularly complex stories. You know, like the plot is fairly straightforward, but I think like in a post Final Fantasy VII world, we really have put a little bit too much emphasis on video game plots when judging stories.
Yeah, no, you don't need... The plot is only one element of a story. For example, I think a game like the original Pokemon Red, Blue, Yellow, I think that game has a good story. It does not have a good plot. Like, if you look around, the world building in that game is actually very good. And, you know, it does a great job of building a world. But what's the plot of that game? You get 8 gym badges, you beat up the Mafia, and become champion. That's not a great plot.
The Mafia, beating up the Mafia is completely accidental.
Oh, yeah, you beat up the Mafia by accident. So, and, you know, again, like, I just think that, you know, Devil May Cry is a game where a lot of people would play, even if they don't care about the story. That was part of the problem with Bayonetta, to me, was that the story, I thought, was not only, like, bad and stupid, it also was intrusive in that, like, there's these 10-minute long cutscenes every mission, and I hate them all because I don't like any of the characters, and it's dumb.
The thing about Bayonetta's story is that it was trying to establish the same level of world and character familiarity within one game that Devil May Cry had achieved in 2 games. I say that in full knowledge that Devil May Cry had 3 games at that point, but like nobody ever in the history of the series has actually cared about Devil May Cry 2's story. It just...
Well, from what I can understand, it doesn't do anything. Like, it doesn't matter in any particular way. Like, it doesn't add any big character.
Well, also, it's just kind of like nothing happens.
The only interesting things about Devil May Cry 2's story are retroactive. Like, we find out retroactively, thanks to Devil May Cry 5, that Agnes from Devil May Cry 4 was basically spying on Arius from Devil May Cry 2, and that his scientific demon-y stuff was tied to the information he found during that little espionage mission. And it was also that espionage mission that led to the birth of Nico. So, you know. Anyway, these are the nobodies. These guys fucking suck, especially as V. I do not know why they introduced these guys as V. I hate these enemies. They are so
that it'll be more
annoying.
cathartic when you fight them later on as Nero or Dante.
Yeah, I mean, as Nero and Dante, they're a lot easier to manage. when you're fighting them as V, they're basically a boss fight, which is why you're fighting them here. They decided to have 2 nobodies, 3 nobodies at the end of the mission instead of a boss fight. Sure, why not?
Do most of the missions end on a boss fight?
A lot of them do, not all of them. But there are a lot more bosses in 5 than there were in 4.
Well, I always thought that like people considered the boss fights to be the a highlight of the Devil May Cry game.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It makes sense to me.
Oh yeah, it's just that like in a couple of the games other than 3, like you were fighting the same boss fight as a recurring encounter a lot of the time rather than a bunch of unique ones. I love this finishing move. You deserve
That is an eyeball that you stabbed.
It's so long-winded.
So, the exploding eyeballs that the nobodies drop everywhere are half the reason they're so annoying. Because, you know, they're jumping all over the screen, basically dropping mines all around the battlefield. And it's not like you're super maneuverable in Devil May Cry. So, it's a little hard to avoid taking damage. Alright, that's another qliphoth route down.
Oh, so is that like something that's keeping the tree as a
Okay,
alive?
so the qliphoth basically saps the blood from all the humans that get caught in the area where it was growing. That's why throughout the early missions you can see all these huskified human statues that dissolve into dust the moment a stiff breeze hits them. Because they've been sapped of literally all the blood. V can't even lift this thing up. It's hilarious. Finally, an anime character who responds to an anime sword in physics-appropriate ways.
But he should be able to use it, right? Because you have to be
You have to at least be a demon. But Nero and Dante should technically be able to use this sword, but even a half-human demon hybrid like Arkham got corrupted when he tried to use it, so... I mean, Arkham literally became a blob monster. That was embarrassing.
Oh, so Dante's just been sitting in this hole the whole time?
Yes.
Cool.
Well, ain't that a coinky-dink?
The Sparda sword had actually been distracting all of the nearby demons so that Dante could recover in peace.
He's been out for a while.
He's been out for a month. You actually get a pretty solid time frame for all of the events of this game because the game literally gives you a date and time for every single event.
How does one friggin' guy have so much luck, huh? V? No. Get a grip on yourself now, come on.
If only you could defeat Urizen.
Okay, it's time for anime melodrama bullshit.
Oh, is he gonna try to kill him?
I feel like I'm playing Final Fantasy 13 again during this scene. It's the one scene that's kind of off-key for me in this game. Trailer shot! Woo!
Oh.
Mission complete! And then Dante died.
The end.
Yay!
S.
I mean, no.
S for slain.
What's the highest rank you can get in this game?
Triple S.
Triple S
okay.
for style. Just S rank for missions, though.
Okay.
Oh, does it just cap at S? Okay, I thought it capped at triple S as well.
That's DMC, I think. DMC has a triple S rank for missions.